So welcome to this brief introduction to mindfulness. Mindfulness is about being in the present moment without judgment. But what does that actually mean? Through mindfulness training, we can learn to manage our emotions and our thoughts so that when difficult thoughts and emotions arise, we can skillfully manage our way through them rather than being overwhelmed by them. Mindfulness is, in fact, brain training. So just as we are taught to look after our bodies, to exercise, get out walking, go to the gym, do sports, and to eat healthily, we're told all the time to look after our bodies, and we understand that. But nobody is teaching us to look after our brains and keep our minds healthy. And that's what mindfulness does. And we do mindfulness training through meditation. So meditation sort of builds the muscle of mindfulness, but meditation is a means to an end. Meditation helps build the muscle so that we can be mindful in our everyday lives and be skillful with our thoughts and emotions while they are happening. So we're going to do a brief mindful settling the mind meditation. And settling the mind is the first steps in mindfulness. I so often hear people say, oh, I tried mindfulness, but my mind was too busy. It takes practice and it takes patience and it takes a bit of kindness to ourselves in order to teach ourselves mindfulness. But over time, we begin to see that we become more skillful in our everyday lives. So, and one of the key things about mindfulness is that the mind does wander. Very often I hear people say, I can't blank my mind. Well, you're not trying to blank your mind. It's almost impossible to blank your mind, especially if you've had years and years or decades and decades of a busy chatter mind, what we call monkey mind. So we begin with a very simple settling the mind practice, which we're going to do now. So the first thing about mindfulness is getting the posture right. Sitting in a chair is absolutely fine, but we do have our feet flat on the floor and hands either in your lap or on your thighs, whichever is right for you. You can have your eyes open or closed. I do tend to keep mine open because we are learning to be more aware and awake in our experience. And sometimes if your eyes are closed, we can just go inside and the mind wanders away. And if the mind does wander, that's absolutely fine. Through practice and learning, our mind might stay a little bit still, but it does take a little bit of practice. So finding that comfortable position, feet flat on floor, hands in lap, eyes open or closed, and if they're open, then soft focusing down the nose. And it can be helpful to take a couple of fuller breaths. And you may find that your shoulders naturally drop just a little. Imagining that there is a golden thread from the base of your spine to the top of your head. But there's no need to sit ramrod straight. And it's perfectly fine to move anytime you need to. As we turn our focus to the breath, noticing perhaps where the breath comes in and out the body. So we may notice it at the nostrils, on the upper lip, the cool air coming in and the warm air going out. Perhaps at the back of the throat. Or perhaps we might notice how the chest rises and falls, or the ribs expand and contract. And it doesn't matter where we notice it. Just taking a few moments to notice how the breath moves the body. And if the mind has wandered, that's what it loves to do. And as soon as we notice, we guide it back to the breath. You cannot get this wrong. Guiding it back to the breath as soon as we notice the mind has scurried off. And it might be helpful for you to introduce counting. So we breathe in to the count of 3 or 4, and we breathe out to the count of 3 or 4. Or you may prefer to use the phrases, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. I am breathing in, I am breathing out. So our breath forms a natural breathing rhythm. And it's likely your mind has scurried off again, like a naughty puppy when we take our attention from it. As soon as we notice, we guide it back to the breath, to counting, or using the phrases. Allowing the mind to settle just as best we can. And if we notice ourselves becoming sleepy, it can be easier to focus on the more energizing in-breath. So more energizing in-breath. And if we notice any signs of agitation, it can be helpful to focus on the more soothing out-breath. And when we notice our mind has wandered, guiding it back with grace and kindness. It's what the mind loves to do. Knowing that through practice and patience, we can learn to let our thoughts float by. And we learn to settle the mind, even if we just notice this one breath. building the muscle of mindfulness by focusing on the breath and counting or using the phrases if that's helpful for you. And as we come to the end of this practice, it can be helpful to take a couple of fuller breaths. So if you would like to learn more about our mindfulness courses or any other well-being courses, or sign up to the In Equilibrium newsletter, please go to in-equilibrium.co.uk. We look forward to seeing you there.